I just want to talk to him.
Why do you have a shotgun?
I just want to talk to him.
Dad, this is ridiculous.
I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him.
It is not his fault.
I just want to shoot him. I
Accident.
just want to talk to him.
You can't shoot him.
Wait, what? What are you doing?
I don't really wanna live inside of this. Well, I don't really wanna let this go. I don't wanna be the one who cares.
Well, Luke, you did it. You forced my hand. I try to not make videos out of anger or emotion, but you've made me do it. Never in my life had I had to do a video on someone I loathe, much as you. You should be proud. To those who don't know what's going on, I'll try to explain as briefly as possible. Just a Robot made a video on a drama, people didn't like it, and claimed he reignited the drama, thanks to prison mate Luke. Jar tried to end the drama, but Luke wouldn't let him, and even after Jar had to take a mental health vacation, Luke now wants to kick Jar while he's down. There's more to it, but you'll figure it out as we go along. This is where I come in. Let's get into it.
Well, this video is here now. Just a Robot, or Jar for simplicity, responded to the problems I had with his Toby video in November. Well, it's almost the end of the year now. Sorry for the wait, but the reason I didn't respond originally wasn't because he owned me or disproved my points. It's because I thought it would help the Toby drama end. Long story short, it didn't.
It did. You're the only one keeping this drama going.
Not that this is Jar's fault, of course. I decided to keep myself quiet, but not anymore. Because when I decided to dig into Jar and his channel for a general response to him, I realized how awful he is.
So you dug into his channel as an attempt to expose him.
Not just as a content creator, but as a person.
Even though you've only seen him from a content creator perspective.
Which I really didn't expect, because I used to watch him back in the day. But in case you don't know who Jar is, he's another commentary channel, and a pretty old one too, starting all the way back in 2015. He came up in the anti-SJW community. YouTube, and really the internet as a whole, had a anti-SJW phase. Being anti-SJW was the big thing to do.
Because SJWs are bad, and there's proof that they are.
But that ended 2018-2019. Not that SJWs aren't made fun of anymore, they still are.
I mean, at least not like they used to.
But it ended when people realized how the anti-SJWs were as bad, if not worse.
Yes, because we all remember the time an anti-SJW went to a college and screamed at the top of their lungs. Or how they kidnapped an autistic child for being white.
That instead of being forced progressives that shoved their ideals down people's throats and were just in general toxic, it was just blatant homophobia and racism.
Oh, that's terrible! Can you give any examples? No? Of course you can't.
Hidden under the mask of freedom of speech.
Because it is freedom of speech.
And although there are a lot of channels now that had that phase, a lot of them grew out of it.
Because PC culture got the best of them.
But Jar didn't. Jar is a remnant of that era of YouTube. A person who thinks having the unpopular opinion makes it the right and cool one.
That has to be some sort of fallacy. You're just saying that because it's unpopular. Notice how no one says that with phrases that they agree with? It's almost as if it's some sort of logical fallacy.
But before I get into him and his very long track record, I should address his response to me. He didn't label it as one, he made a pretentious title where he said this is where the Toby drama ended, which is not only funny because he's the reason it got reignited.
The point of the title was because he realized he was in the wrong and wanted to fix that. Isn't that what you wanted? For the drama to end? So why are you saying it's bad for him to end the drama? Why do you feel the need to kick him while he's down? My guess is that you want the drama to keep going, since you ran out of things to talk about regarding Yandere Dev.
It didn't end there, and he didn't stop talking about it either. But it was a bad response to me. The beginning portion of the video and the rest of it were two completely different videos. And I feel like he cherry-picked my video.
Ironic considering you cut off certain segments for quote-unquote time.
Over the guy that he made a video on, Kai's, for two reasons. One, to say that I took things out of context.
Which you did.
Because I edit down my videos for the sake of time.
For the sake of time, huh? even though Jar has proof that you purposely cut out portions of the video to fit your bias.
It's easy just to make that argument when all of the gotcha points in his overly long, drawn-out video are either things that don't disprove what I said, or him and his collabers going against each other. For example, he uses me saying that Harsh Opinions not going into Shane Dawson was cut context
Because it was.
because she mentioned him again in the video, when the second time she mentioned him, she just said the same thing, that she didn't want to go into it.
She said she didn't want to go into the race comments. Those are two different subjects.
You conveniently leave out the part where she talked about the whole Shane Dawson situation.
Like, Toby, there was no need for you to try to puff up your chest the way you did. And I don't even want to talk about the whole Shane Dawson thing, because Jesus Christ, that was just an all-around train wreck. I'm sorry, but like, why? Just why?
Yes, Harsh did say she doesn't want to talk about it, but that's not her ignoring it. But she did say Toby's point about Shane was an all-around train wreck. So I don't think she's just ignoring the situation.
Which just double downs on my point of her ignoring key context. And almost all of his gotcha moments are like this, or again, just him and his collabers going against each other.
Even though there was only one collab in these series of videos.
But my personal favorite part of the video is him justifying Toby sexualizing multiple underage characters. I'll play it now.
Now, to be fair, while the age of consent can range from 16 to 18 depending on what state you're in, anything below the age of 18 is still considered to be cheese pizza. But still, Luke, Kai, Omnia, and a few other people don't think Toby is a pedo. I'm just gonna say there are a ton of not safe for work images of My Hero Academia, but because it's not Lolly or Shota, I don't see too much of a problem with it. But as Manga Common said, she still shouldn't be doing this. If Todoroki looked exactly the way he did, but his age was 18, would it suddenly be magically okay? Just asking.
Now, I don't understand this point against me or why he's so alright with it.
He's trying to mention how your argument is flawed.
I don't get why he doesn't understand that a 16-year-old is a minor.
Even though he's addressed this in his latest video, he said that while 16 isn't a kid, it's still a minor. And even then, it's a fucking drawing.
And you shouldn't sexualize them. He just acts like it's not a big deal.
Because it isn't.
When not only is it, not ethical to think it's alright, the main point was that she's a massive hypocrite for calling other people out for it when she does it. And the way he just accepts it and just downplays it is disgusting.
He was talking about the people who falsely accused him of pedophilia. After your video, a bunch of your fans started calling him a pedo. If you had a bunch of people calling you a pedo, wouldn't that make you want to defend yourself?
Especially when he had no reason to defend this. But another reason I think he reacted to my video, besides the length and how long my video was out, is because I didn't bring up any of the racist stuff he said in his video.
No, he was talking about it because your fans were still giving him shit. Also, when was he racist?
As I said in the video, I am white and I don't think I should comment on it. And Kai did, but guess what? He didn't respond to it. But you don't need the Toby videos. You can just look into Jar and his channels and you find a clear pattern of racism that's continued all the way until today.
Okay, fine. Go ahead, show us.
And the funniest part to me is that it's really easy to find it all. In fact, it started off like this. One of his first videos was on the Confederate flag, where the video just boils down to the flag isn't racist because there were black slave owners.
Really? Why don't you show a clip where he said that? You're not gonna? Okay. However, unlike you, I don't leave out context. So I went to go watch the video you're referring to, and not even 10 seconds in, he says this.
I just want to make something very clear. I am not a fan of the Confederate flag. However, I do think censoring it will make things worse. And I will be going over why in this video.
See? He's not advocating for the flag. He just doesn't think it should be censored. No matter where you stand on the political spectrum, no one should ever advocate for censorship. Also, he pointed out the black slave owners because the video mentioned how history was being quote-unquote whitewashed.
We're kind of fed up with this whitewashing of America's dark past.
There are also black slave owners. I just thought I should throw that in there.
If anything, he pointed out that the US flag could be seen as racist too.
The Confederate flag ain't racist.
Technically, the American flag is a symbol of racism. Under that flag, Americans have killed several Native Americans. Put Japanese people in internment camps just because they were Japanese.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
I highly suggest you see the video yourself. It's filled with plenty of good points and definitely isn't racist. I'll put the video in the description if you're interested.
And that just because a few racists use the flag, it doesn't make it racist.
That is a flat out lie. Nowhere in his video did he say that. And remember what I said earlier? He said himself that he didn't like the flag either.
Comparing it to the swastika, because it was used before Hitler, when the main point of those symbols and how they represent stuff is, a lot of racists use it as their symbol.
You're leaving out context. He wasn't saying the symbol wasn't racist. He was pointing out of how the swastika used to be symbol of peace before Hitler came along and, for lack of better phrasing, corrupted it to mean something else.
Fucked up fact number 1. In 1861, the Vice President of the Confederacy said the Confederate government is based on, quote, the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man.
Bitch, please.
Yeah, that's not racist.
Yes, and Hitler said a lot of things about the swastika. But do you know what the swastika actually stands for? Take it away, Gaijin Goomba.
And you can see why it sparked such controversy. Even to this day, there are people who are freaking out thinking that Zelda had a secret agenda with Nazis. But what's truly sad here is that the swastika has a completely different polar opposite meaning. What do I mean by that? Here's a brief history lesson. The word swastika is broken down into 3 words in Sanskrit. Su, meaning good, asti, meaning to be, and ka, meaning one's soul. So all together now, well-being of the soul. It was a symbol of luck, peace, and prosperity amongst many different regions and religions, spanning its origins back to the Bronze Age. Buddhists and Hindus of Asia, Africans, Armenians, Greeks, Baltics, Slavics, even the good old USA used the swastika in one positive fashion or another. It was only until that goose-stepping came into play in the world that the symbol of peace, prosperity, and general goodwill was turned into a symbol of hatred, intolerance, and bigotry, which is a crying shame considering how worldly the symbol is and what it truly means.
Which changes what the symbol means and what it represents. And before you use the whole it's not the actual Confederate flag and it was a battle standard to replace it, don't you see how it's even more racist with that knowledge?
Firstly, that's irrelevant. We're talking about JAR, not US history. Secondly, like I said, he pointed out at the beginning of his video that he didn't like the flag either.
Because they're just using it for racist shit. That's not even the flag of the South anymore. That's just what racists use. Also, the whole him using a minority group, doing something bad to justify his shit is a pattern you see throughout his channel all the way until now.
Can you provide evidence of that? No? Okay. Normally, I would laugh at your baseless accusations. But considering that there are actual human beings who think you're a voice of reason, it just pisses me off.
The year after, he made a video where he responded to a BuzzFeed video about Native Americans, where he again not only used other groups of people doing horrible stuff to justify not caring.
More twisting of words. He was pointing out the double standard, that people get mad at the white man for taking over the US when no one talks about how the Spanish did the same thing. And just like the last time, his response was at the beginning of the fucking video.
And white people constantly get reminded about what their ancestors did to the Native Americans while Mexicans get a free pass.
Even if you think what the whites did to the natives was bad, you can't hold a double standard like that and act as if it's a problem exclusive to the US.
He also says that when he thinks of Native Americans, he thinks of the stereotypical one from King of the Hill, which would be fine had he not gone on to berate some of these people for not looking Native American enough to pass.
What the fuck does a Native American look like?
Okay, bro, you look like you're barely Native American. You could easily pass for a white guy. When I think of a Native American, I think of someone looking like John Redcorn, not a white boy with black hair. If white privilege is so amazing, then just say you're a white guy. You could easily pass for one.
This bitch didn't just... oh my god. You debunked your own point in your own video. He was directing that statement to people who blame all their problems on quote-unquote white privilege. If White privilege is so good, then just say you're white if you look it. I mean, I'm a minority myself, and white privilege isn't a problem for me. Then again, while I don't look white, I do sound it, I think. You gotta find a new scapegoat is all I'm saying.
Oh, that's not all. That's not even the worst part.
You say that like you showed us anything bad in the first place.
He has a video, he has multiple videos, where he just says the hard R multiple times. One of them's during his Rice Scum and iDubbbz video, and I could dig up more if I wanted to make sure I don't get monetized.
Considering you put the word racist in your video title, I highly fucking doubt you're monetized.
But here they are, enjoy.
Well, what's the context? Did he say it in a song? Did he call someone it? Or did he just say it? Why is it bad when only white people say it? If he was Asian, would it be okay? If he was black, I know it certainly would be okay. The only time I remember him saying it was when he said, "Say nigger." But even then, that was to make fun of a white girl.
You did it again. You debunked yourself in your own video. Jar wasn't calling anyone the N-word. He was quoting someone. And even then, in his remaster of the video you mentioned, he even has his editor censor out the word. So that criticism has already been applied.
The only time I remember him saying it was when he said, "Say nigger." The only time I remember him saying it was when he said, "Say Oh, so your thumbnail maker is either a racist white person or a coon-ass nigger according to you.
You left out context. He was quoting the person he was doing a video on.
Now, the reason why I wanted to make this song is not for clout or any of that. There's nothing to gain from this man because his fans is nothing but racist white people and coon-ass niggas.
So 100% of his fan base is either black or white, so there's no Asians or Latinos who watch him. Interesting, I did not know that.
Right.
Not even just going to him, they going to people that mess with him tough. Being in their comments and tweeting them shit like that, like that shit ain't cool.
These motherfuckers went to my thumbnail maker who has nothing to do about this issue. They don't even know if my thumbnail maker is an iDubbbz fan or not, and he could be, I'm not sure.
Oh, so your thumbnail maker is either a racist white person or a coon-ass nigger according to you.
I had to splice two different clips together that time, as in order to get the full context, you need to watch the whole video. All of Jar's videos mentioned here will be down in the description. I should also add that these clips of Jar saying the N-word are from the same video, so it just shows that Luke really doesn't have anything to go off of.
The whole video is him basically saying, you're allowed to say what you want and people shouldn't be upset.
I mean, depending on the context, that is true. But that's not what the video is about. The video is related to the iDubbbz Rice Gum drama.
A lot of people have been asking me what my opinion is on the iDubbbz versus Rice Gum drama. And honestly, guys, I really don't care. I don't watch iDubbbz, and I don't watch Rice Gum. So if you want me to care about this drama, you have to use something I do care about. Like a reaction channel, or a black guy who throws out the word racist like it's candy. Oh, well, that works.
When at the end of the day, it's up to people to decide whether they want to support someone or not when they say racial slurs.
True, but that does not make you immune to criticism regarding your decision.
That's within their right. Also, before you say I'm dragging this up for no reason,
you are. Normally, I wouldn't point that out. But it's kind of hypocritical of you to be mad at Jar for bringing up the Toby drama for no reason. But you bring up all of Jar's old stuff.
He uses the same logic today.
Because it works.
He got angry at Kind Omnia because they talked about how he shouldn't talk about racially charged issues. And especially when he said, as a white person, you can say anything like any race.
Because you can. You're not allowed to assume we're offended by something when we aren't, but I'm not gonna be against you talking about race if you're white. Also, given that you're white yourself, you're technically being an Uncle Tom for white people.
And anytime someone calls him a racist for that, he calls them the actual racist.
Because they said, who are you as a white person to talk about it? Which is racist.
And he's not. He did it here.
Alright, since Luke doesn't want to read this, I'm gonna read it. I'm already gonna say this. Seriously. This video is biased by the fact that you defend Toby and trash Omnia and Kai even though you claim not to. Dear God, you guys are hypocrites.
I did not defend Toby. You're just here from a video that twisted what I said.
Chicken wing, hot dog and bologna, chicken macaroni, chili with my homies. Also, you seem really heated with that whole race thing. Damn, it looked like you were trying to hold back that all lives matter. Literally the only person in this thread talking about race is Wiener Law.
He did it to Kai, and there are other examples too. Along with that, he has multiple videos of just having blackface versions of himself. And he can't say it's another character because one of them he literally says is just him blackface.
Oh, can you show a clip? Why am I even asking at this point? Of course you're not going to show a clip. Now this still right here of Jar isn't him in blackface, despite what Luke says. This is a still that was used to make fun of a YouTuber, TMossBoss. And no, he wasn't being racist towards TMossBoss. He was just mocking his poor arguments. He has a whole movie dedicated to TMossBoss if you're interested. And this person you showed isn't even Jar! It's an old friend of his, Professor Dreadlock. He used to share a channel with Jar.
Hello, I am Professor Dreadlock. I am friends with Just the Robot. I share this channel with him, but will rarely be uploading videos.
But also, it's something that he's kept a tradition of using blackface characters.
Ugh. That wasn't blackface, it was just a PNG of SpongeBob with the paint bucket tool used on it. People who were offended from that one single part of the video need to fucking grow up. Funny how there's actual racism in the world and people are offended at a 3-second clip from a YouTube video.
Well, you might say this is all from his old channel. He must have a new, more racially sensitive and not just flat out racist opinions now.
He never had racist views. You just took him out of context.
No, I'm going to skip forward a bit to this year, not because he didn't say anything racist or bad in between these times.
Funny how you don't go over those years then.
But even without the Toby videos, he has said a lot of racist shit recently. His race-bending video is full of it. He apparently doesn't care about race-bending white characters, but then goes on to complain about it the whole video.
Not necessarily. He was saying in the video that race-bending is okay, but you need to give a good reason for it aside from lack of diversity. Also, you gotta love how Luke implied before that white people can't talk about race. But here he is, talking about race. Luke, you're about as consistent as the Bomberman timeline.
My favorite part is that he has a problem with the Witcher show because he can't tell the different places apart because there's racial diversity in the cast.
Well, let's just go with the argument, it's a fantasy world, they can do whatever they want. Well, because they make every town and village look like New York City with how diverse it is, I never know where the Witcher is in the show, because every place looks practically the same. If one kingdom was more white or one kingdom was more black, I would at least know where the Witcher was. But instead, every location, kingdom, city, or anything just blends together in the show.
That's not racist. Let me put in perspective for you. Let's say there's a show where the main cast lives in America. A country that, despite its history, is pretty diverse. Since they're in America, the background people are obviously gonna be pretty mixed. Now let's say there's an episode where the main cast goes to visit Singapore. Singapore is a country that isn't too diverse compared to other English-speaking countries. Most people there are native to that country. However, instead of hiring Asian actors to play the background characters, they kept using mixed race characters like they do in the scenes with America. And since the language is in English, in both countries it would be hard to tell where the main cast is.
Like, the different environments and culture and just background and everything, that doesn't matter to him. He can't tell the difference if they aren't segregated to his liking.
You make it sound like he's making a concentration camp. He's not saying that towns can't have diversity. He's saying that having a prominent race would make it easier to tell where they are.
He also complains about making minor characters minorities because they don't really do anything, when that doesn't matter. If you want to complain about forced diversity in some cases, fine, but a character doesn't have to do anything important for them to be allowed to not be white.
You're leaving out context. Jar was talking about how the minority characters don't do much compared to the white characters. And as a result, it comes off as forced. If anything, it seems Jar wants the minorities to be more well-written in the show.
But no, it'd be nice if all the non-white characters actually, did something. The Black Elves just stand there. There's a black elf wizard who does a little, but nothing as impactful as what the white characters are doing. They only race bent the background characters. They're not doing anything. The three main characters are white, the comic relief is white, and most of the side characters are white. It's only the background characters who are diverse.
In fact, in one part of the video, he brings up how race-bent characters can work.
Now, race bending can sometimes work, like with Miles Morales. At first, I used to hate him. I thought they were trying to make Peter Parker black when he was the whitest kid ever. And I also didn't see the purpose of making Spider-Man black because, well, he's covered more than a ninja. Not one part of his body is actually showing when he's wearing the Spider-Man suit. But then I found out Miles Morales was, well, Miles Morales and not Peter Parker, and he was from an alternate universe. And the movie did an excellent job at handling him. In fact, one could say the movie was kind of like The Last Jedi done right.
There's also this part where he talks about the Harry Potter play that I'll just show in full.
And of course, there was that infamous Harry Potter play. Here's the Harry Potter cast for the movie, and here's the Harry Potter cast for the play. Notice anything different? That's right. Ron is not a ginger. Oh yeah, and also Hermione's black and really ugly, but Ron is not a ginger!
Oh no! Someone called someone else ugly on the internet! Fucking grow up. For a prisoner, you're weak as fuck.
By the way, in case he says something, that's the context. He just insults her and calls her black.
Calls her black? But she is black. What's the argument here?
That's it. His Steven Universe videos are great too. His first one has him going on a whole ramble about how gay people have it worse than interracial couples.
Okay, he does technically say that. But he does mention that interracial couples have it bad too, so he's not denying it.
People having a problem with interracial couples is still a thing in our modern times. There's a black girl in my Discord server who told me a story about how she was into a white boy, and her black teacher told her she would be dirtying up the black community if she had a kid with him. There's a double standard I notice where dads are cool with their sons dating outside their race but not their daughters. So yes, people having a problem with interracial couples are still a thing in the modern times.
He also, again, brings up how black people treat gay people the worst.
No, he was pointing out that homophobia is more of a thing in the black community, statistically speaking. He wasn't saying that all black people are homophobic like you're implying.
He also just flat out says that people who hate interracial couples aren't part of the problem.
Understand there might be a few people in my comment section completely missing the point of this video and taking the least charitable interpretation possible. Please understand, I'm not saying people who don't like interracial couples are a problem. I'm just saying people who have a problem with same-sex couples is a way bigger problem. Like, it's not even close.
Even though he said it was a problem at the beginning of the video?
Also, you know that interracial gay couples exist, right?
He didn't say they didn't.
You say in the video, but you act like they're completely separate issues that can't interact at all.
Hey, you came to your own conclusion on that one.
Also, it shouldn't be a competition between minority groups on who's more oppressed and for us to decide that.
As much as it makes me want to vomit, you somewhat have a point. But Jar was trying to say that it doesn't make sense for someone to be racist, but not homophobic.
And his Antunes video didn't start bad. It actually had some decent insight, and it was unique because he knew him before he had his major downward spiral. What's not so nice is the fact that he said Izzy, a YouTuber that Antunes labeled a map, did look like one.
Okay, this one I have to agree with you on. I blame you for that. Anyways, I do think you have a point here. Jar shouldn't have called her a map. That, I will agree, was bad on his part.
And also, Antunes, one of the people you flagged, well, you called them a map just because they said they were asexual. I understand they do look like a map, which, by the way, stands for minor attracted person, but you need to be 100% certain before you throw that accusation around.
His justification for saying that was that a lot of people look like maps.
I mean, yeah. I still don't think Jar should have said it, but he has a point.
Which, Izzy doesn't look like one at all. She's not some gross 30-year-old who doesn't bathe. She's just a creator who wears a lot of makeup for her videos, which this video led to Antunes doubling down on that and commenting how she does look like a map also.
So it's Jar's fault that Antunes said something stupid? I do agree that Jar shouldn't have called her a map, but Antunes saying something stupid isn't the fault of Jar. Antunes is a grown adult. If he makes stupid decisions because of something that Jar said, that's Antunes' fault.
Something that was never a part of the argument before Jar said it. Also, I don't blame Jar for Antunes' continuing downward spiral, where he calls Izzy and a lot of other creators maps more aggressively.
Then why bring it up?
But maybe don't feed into delusional old men who can't handle criticism. Maybe don't say someone looks like they're into children because they look weird to you. Before I end the video, I should also mention his Hopeless Peaches video and the problems I have with it. First of all, it's massive clickbait. He talked about Peaches for 7 minutes, and the rest of it is either him talking about drama or his editor, but I'll get to him.
Funny considering this video barely talks about race.
To prove this point further, I timed Luke's video with a stopwatch to see how much he actually talks about race up until this point. Luke talks about race for 5 minutes and 44 seconds. The video is 15 minutes long. So as of right now, only a third of the video talks about race. Keep in mind, Luke's video is titled, Just a Robot is Just Racist, yet Luke has a problem with Just a Robot talking about the Toby drama in a video about Peaches. Not to mention he only gets into the race-related topics 1 minute and 30 seconds into the video. And said topic isn't even about Just a Robot. I'm not the only one who noticed this either, as the commentary/reaction channel iGollieGollies noticed this as well. I highly suggest you check out iGollieGollies' video on the subject too. Link will be in the description. TLDR, Luke is a hypocrite.
Less than 20% of your video has to deal with the title, maybe don't name it that. If you want to make a Peaches video, make a separate one. You shouldn't tack on an apology to a popular thing because it will get more views and money. As for the apology itself, it's not up to me to accept it. What I will bring up is him saying how he wants this drama with me and him, which I don't consider it drama.
Only because you weren't the one getting harassed. Jar was.
To end, when even after his last video on Toby, which was the supposed end of it, he made another video about it complaining about being a bandwagon.
Even though the main focus wasn't on Toby? Jeez, it feels like even if you just think of the name Toby, you get dragged in this drama. I swear to God.
And not only that, the day before his Peaches video dropped, he tweeted out asking if simping is different from white knighting.
And your point is?
Which, you know, isn't moving on like you're saying.
Where in this tweet do you see Toby's name? Where is Toby mentioned? Because I sure as hell don't see it.
Also, it's the same thing. This argument doesn't make sense. White knighting and simping means you're being unreasonably attached and defensive towards someone. Whether it's sexually or not, it's fundamentally the same thing. I wouldn't call that moving on. Also, one last thing.
Oh my God, shut up! I just want to finish this video so I can go back to playing Disgaea 2!
He ends the video with 11 minutes of his editor going on about cancel culture and all that, and it's just so fucking dumb.
Of course you'd be against it, considering how much your fans call Jar a racist so much. Considering you're playing Team Fortress 2 right now, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say you're a part of the Skunt Gang. And while we're on the subject of Team Fortress 2, the back burner sucks, you WM1 free-to-play. Actually help the team in Air Blast. And no, the 20 health isn't worth the 150 cost. Just because Valve puts the pyro on a pedestal doesn't mean you can slack off. Looking at that thing physically hurts me inside. I swear, if you have the panic attack, I'm gonna vomit again.
Before you say that this isn't Jar talking, this is his editor, and he put it in the video to make himself sound better.
Even though he has some good points in this statement?
This victim mentality of being a bandwagon or being cancelled, it's so fucking pathetic. Especially when you're not being cancelled.
Could have fooled me!
You had a few videos made on you, Jar. Big whoop. I've had a few videos made on me too. I bet more videos than you in all honesty. I'm not going around crying about it or getting my YouTube friends to defend me because that shit's really dumb and childish.
You know what is childish? Falsely accusing someone of racism.
Especially since people are only catching on to you now. Your whole career has been a pattern of either blatant racism or racism hidden under the guise of being deep or a new perspective.
He may not be deep, but judging by what we've seen so far in this video, Jar definitely isn't racist.
Even without all the racial stuff, you have a habit of throwing people under the bus and just being terrible.
Who? Who did he throw under the bus?
You argue with your own fans about your screw-ups.
Since Luke doesn't want to read this, I'm not gonna. But I will say that I've used multiple accounts on YouTube is the biggest that happened I've ever seen.
And refuse to see a different side of things. You're very fucking petty too.
Irony.
You don't think people notice how your arguments boil down to no, you are.
And your arguments are flat out lies. Just like this one.
I'm not racist, you are. I'm not triggered, you are. One last thing before I end the video. If you want a more in-depth look at all the racist and just terrible shit he did during the Toby drama, I recommend you check out Vabzusin's, I'm probably saying that wrong, video on him.
I think I might.
It's a good watch and you get an opinion from someone who doesn't have a melanin count of 0. Now, don't go harass Jar or anyone I mentioned. It's unneeded. I just wanted to get out there that his response was in fact not good and that he has a history of being a massive fucking racist. That said, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. I genuinely wonder if this video will get monetized given the racial slurs.
Probably not. I'm not gonna say an outro. I've worked on this video way too fucking long. Goodbye.
So am I. So am I. So am I.